Hello, yes. This is Shelton Henderson. We're at Google Plus doing the live broadcast of the Conversation 2132. And I am going to, this is an informal thing. There's maybe a few little glitches as we get people on. I'm sending out the link right now to the people that requested to be on. Um, this forum, um, yep, here we go. Got a little, yeah, so I got a little latency here, so I need to take my YouTube off. Yeah, there we go. Okay. Yeah, so this doesn't work out a few of the glitches here. Uh, and we'll get some people invited on and get the conversation started. I'm going to be sending out some links. There we go. To a few people. Okay. This is not a professional broadcast. It's just a tool for Google. So we'll just have to kind of stumble our way through it. The technical aspect of it. This will be my second Hangout. So, you know, it won't be all smooth, but, the point is to get the conversation started and let people talk about things that they uh, questions that they've had on their mind. Hello, Nastasia.
Hi,
Yep, there we go. How are you?
I'm okay. I didn't know I
How's
was
it?
gonna be talking.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Why not? That's what it's about. You can talk, listen, however you want to contribute to the conversation or whatever. Just wherever you see fit. Like I said, it's just a free flowing um, conversation, and we may have some people join in. I'm going to put the link. Uh, I've actually included the link on the uh, group chat that we have. Can you see the chat function on your phone? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay.
I just muted.
Yeah. Yeah. You should be able to see a chat function. If not, it's okay. You can that way you can um, add your comments on the side, or you just keep up. There's other conversation going on. I'm trying to get your mother to link, get her on, and then we'll start talking, and then we'll have the other people join in if they I've had a few invites. The people said that they would be talking to us, so I'm gonna go ahead while we're doing that and invite them in. I think I have one more person. Let me see. I'll go ahead and add that. Yeah, I'll go ahead and message her. And so we'll have like some people invited in. Let me see if I can get your mother on. I'm gonna go ahead and make sure she has it. I'm gonna mute myself right quick so I don't yell into the thing. All right. Okay, I'm back. All right. Let me make sure I have control. Man, control. All right, there we go. Okay, there we go. Michelle, are you there?
Yeah.
Yep. Wow, you sound so enthusiastic. Thank you. You know, sound like you're so looking forward to this. Yeah, so, um, and we'll go ahead and
Did
minimize.
anybody else join?
Not as of yet. I sent some links out, and we'll see how it goes from here. Um, but we'll start the conversation, and if we don't get anyone join in, like I said, this is just part one of the conversation, and we'll see how it picks up. We'll include other parts of it, you know, as we get more people to participate if they so choose to. What I plan on doing with this also is opening up the conversation to other people, and then specifically talking about some of the stuff that I have on my blog, just on a different type of series to uh, just add different parts of different subjects, different sections that I've researched, and just add them on and just keep them on to YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the plan. And I think a few other people I'm going to go ahead and send her. Just remember one other person. I'm going to go ahead and send her an invite. And we'll go ahead and start after that. There we go. Okay, go ahead and message her.
So did Nastasia join the conversation or no?
Nastasia's right here. You see her on your phone?
She hasn't
Nastasia,
said
you there? She's here.
she hasn't said anything.
Yeah, let's get her back. Let's see. Nastasia, are you there? She might be muted. She might have stepped away. I did talk to her beforehand, so she may have just stepped away. But she's there. All right.
Hello?
Yeah, I'm here. We're just chilling for a minute until we I'm gonna see if I get any other people in, and then we'll looks like her phone dropped off. She may call back to join back in. Um, okay. All right. Let me just see if she's going to add on. Then I'll just go ahead and we'll go ahead and get started.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, there she's coming. All right, there she is.
I'm sorry,
That's all right.
my phone died.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Well, we're going to go ahead and get started. It's about 17 after. And I'm going to go ahead and kind of start talking about the purpose behind having this conversation. It's something that's been ongoing for, well, for me, since I was about, I guess, 11, 12 years old, and that's having these different questions about our belief system and things like that, and growing up at church. Um, Last year, conversation got started about what we were brought up to believe in the time frame of things happening, and uh, how it has affected. Um, but when you move your thing, can you mute your conversation because all the sounds come up?
I don't know how to do all of that, so.
Okay. Um, so, um, yeah, the reason behind this is to follow up on those conversations that we've had on Facebook. Um, we've had people who have made decisions on it, like based on the way that they were brought up, 21, 32. And this broadcast is to that audience, so people already know what I'm talking about as far as church is concerned. So let me just recap and kind of get my thoughts in order about how we want to approach things. The impetus of having this hangout uh, and having this conversation is because we've had years since things happened. All of us were born and raised at the church, and we were taught certain things. We were taught certain things were going to happen after certain times. We made decisions based on those things that we were brought up to believe. We made life decisions based on that, and some of us continue under that belief system. Others have changed, and others still have questions about things. And this is the purpose of this. Pull up a chair, and let's talk about these things. Let's talk about the questions that we've had, and what our experience is really. Kind of basically recap how we came about being like raised in the church or joining the church, and how that experience was. What exactly was that experience growing up there? Um, how did it affect you, or has it affected you growing up there? And it's not all about negativity, but it is about reality. What has happened uh, from being there, and what has affected your decision making back then? How does it affect your decision making now, and how does it look for the future? Your belief system based on that. So um, I hope I was clear with how we want to approach things with this conversation, and we're kind of like going to let it free flow, and the people who participate now and in the future can go ahead and say, okay, well, this is how this is my experience, and then we can kind of let it go from there. But like I said, this is a very informal setting, so we're just gonna just go with the flow and see how it goes. Um, Now, that's the introduction. I hope I was clear with that. And how'd that sound, Michelle? Did that pretty much uh, give you a picture of what we want to do with the conversation?
Yeah, that sounds good. Because there are a lot of things that people have to say, and I hope that other people from church join in. Even though I wasn't brought up in church, just bringing my children up in church was really not to their benefit in a way. So I think that other people who were brought up in church, it would be good if they joined in and had a conversation about the things that they found to be helpful or not so helpful in their adult decision making
Yeah.
in their adult lives.
Mm, yeah. And well, I guess how would you like to proceed? we can start from my point of view, being raised up in church, and we can kind of, so that we have some kind of order from somebody that was raised up from that perspective, and somebody who joined later, and then perhaps we can get Nastasia on to, if she so chooses, to talk about how it is for a young person growing up in modern times, in the 90s and into the 2000s, how that is for her perspective. So we kind of got a good mix, and I was hoping that, and if not this time, like I said, maybe next time we'll have someone that's older than me that that perhaps was at church when Prophet Cherry was there, so that they can give us a different perspective. Now, would you like me to start, or would you want to go first from your point of view?
You can go, cause
Mm.
you can go.
Okay. All right. My history is that the way that my family came to church is that my Aunt Ruby came to church in 1935, and she brought my grandmother in to the church, 1935. So my mother was not grown yet, not even, she was 11 years old. Um, so we're talking about into the 40s and 50s, that that my mother came into church. So that's like this is a third generation I am of people from my family coming into church. I can remember as far back as being on the back row, looking out the back window in church, being not old enough to go and sit on the other side. So that's a long time ago. I'm 52 years old. Of course, I mean, growing up watching the guards and playing in the band and things like that, coming into the age where I start to actually listen, which I guess was around 11, 12 years old, 13, I guess, when I started to pay attention to what was said. And I guess that's when my questions started. And I can remember opening the Bible and reading things, looking for, we're told about this man, Prophet Cherry. And I can remember at that time going and looking for his book, looking for the book that Prophet Cherry wrote, and looking for the book that Jesus wrote. And, that's when my questions started about things. So it was, of course, going to school and not doing the things that, we were different. We didn't stand to say the Pledge of Allegiance. We had a special diet. We were different. We had to question things. If stuff happened on Saturday, we couldn't go for school. And, we were just different, and it was good, to have that difference. It gave me the ability to know that, because somebody says things have to be a certain way, no, you live in a country where you do have freedom to say no. Well, we don't take pictures. We don't go to just any kind of events on Friday night or Saturday. And honestly, I like that. I like the difference. I didn't like missing the events because I wanted to go, but I like the fact that, I learned that things could change, if you challenge them. So I enjoyed that part of it. But yeah, I wanted my pictures, I wanted my school pictures. I didn't like that part, that we couldn't get the class pictures, and if anything happened, I wanted to be with my class, but it didn't, I didn't like that, but that was part of the experience. Going through school, and education, as far as education is concerned, I was always encouraged to go to the school closest to me, and my mother expected me to do well in school. I guess in my instance, I was more internally motivated to get good grades and to go on to college and things like that. Even though when I came out of high school, it was 1980, and at that particular time, it was like, I had been told all my life that between 1985 and 1990, that was a wrap. We're gonna get out of here. We're going to Canaan land. But I decided anyway to go ahead and go to college and travel and do everything I could, regardless. So I challenged what I was brought up to believe, and I traveled. I went to down south. I went to Canada. I got on airplanes. Later on, I did everything else. I tried pork, shellfish, everything, everything that wasn't, you wasn't supposed to do. Yeah, I'm gonna try it because I wanted to see if anything would happen, because I learned in talking to other people that, they believe what they believe just as hard as I believed it. And I got to a certain point in my early adulthood after college where, and I have to say, all during this time, as far as what I was being taught, it was actually very frustrating, the way that they teach during and have the lessons during the morning, because they never got anything resolved. It always ended up, to me, in frustration. So it was like, what's really the truth? What's the last word? What's really right? So that was frustrating. It was very frustrating. So it led me to have questions as a young adult. And this is an abridged version of what I'm saying, but I think I'm covering all my points here. And as a young adult, I actually wanted to learn more, which led me to go to study outside and learn Hebrew and learn about the history. And that led me to a brother that actually taught Hebrew, and I was able to learn Hebrew enough to to read entire chapters in Hebrew and hold a service and take it from that point. And I started questioning the foundations of my belief and started questioning who Prophet Cherry was. And I started looking differently on what I was brought up to believe. I started to look at it from a critical eye, as you would look at any other religion. I said, okay, well, yeah, I'm going to suspend my belief. I'm going to say, okay, well, I believe it, but I'm going to look at it from a critical eye. I'm going to say, okay, just like a Christian or someone else of another religion would look at me and say, well, that sounds strange what you believe. What about this? What about that? I decided to do the same thing. And that led me to where I am today, asking those hard questions and being honest, with myself. Does this stuff that I believe really make sense? Is it something I can live by? And when, I guess really after 1985, 1990 went by and these years start rolling by, I started to think that more and more, like, that it wasn't true what I was brought up to believe. And so that led me to where I am today, which is at a point of non-belief, which I don't, go around, trying to convert people to what I believe or don't believe. But that has been my journey. And the impact that it's had on me is that, for me, I realize that life is short, and that my whole, in a nutshell, is that you live your life as though you don't have eternity. You have to live your life because you don't know whether today or tomorrow something's going to happen to you. I don't live my life based on fear and guilt, which I think that was a system that I was brought up in, that you have fear. You don't question anything. You don't question who Prophet Cherry was. You don't question anything. Basically, you just believe it. And if you have a thought that, an impure thought that you're going to be judged from that. I freed myself from that many moons ago. So I kind of took the way it's impacted me, and as far as the future is concerned and my outlook on life, it is that I live my life as though I don't have a lot of time left, and I'm going to live it the best way that I can, And as far as treating people, you treat people right. You treat people like the way you want to be treated. There's no guilt involved in anything, no fear about being tortured or anything like that. And I've freed myself of that. So, and I say tortured, I'm saying as far as going to hell and not making it over and stuff like that. I've gotten rid of all of that stuff many, many moons ago. And it, with me, is about living your life to the fullest. And, you know, that is where I am at this point in time in my life.
Well, then there you have it. I don't know what happened. Can you hear me?
Of your experience, Michelle, of
I don't know what
how
happened.
things are.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you fine.
Oh, because a second ago I couldn't hear anything that you said. It was like the phone stalled.
Hmm. Well, it'll stall. Sometimes it has like they call it latency. Like when you speak, the data stream, if it slows down, if the internet connection slows down or anything, what happens is your sound will keep going, but your video will stop, and then it'll catch up with itself. So that's all that is. So if that happens, then you know it's just a computer doing it. It's just latency. So that's how that goes. Yeah.
I couldn't hear words you said, even though you're like 2 rooms away. But yeah. Well, it's like this. When I was 15, I met this guy,
Hmm.
and he moved on the block, and we were all friends, and it's high school. So guess what we're doing? We got the little Kodak cameras and stuff like that. We're taking pictures.
Hold on.
There you go.
You back? Okay. Go ahead.
So anyway, everybody's taking pictures. We're doing all kind of stuff, like we're having fun. And I remember he couldn't take pictures, or he wouldn't take pictures, and I was just like, what do you mean? Because that's obviously very strange to me, right? So what do you
Mhm.
mean you won't take pictures? So, excuse me. So that was that. You fast forward a few years, and I'm introduced to 2132. Um, oh, Todd's left. Anyway, I'm introduced to 2132 by the same person and like their sister and stuff. And so I go, and I thought it was cool. Like it was different. It was long because
Mhm.
my goodness, I went in the morning. So you know what that is. I was there at 8 o'clock in the morning, and we didn't leave until sundown. So by the end of the day, I was done. Excuse me, I was done. And it's funny, I didn't understand at the time, like, why can't he take pictures? Why would he not be able to take pictures? Like, who can't take pictures? And what's the problem? I really thought they were on the run from their father,
Right.
because I told that story in church, and the whole congregation bust out laughing, and I was serious. So, and I wasn't even like, I didn't smirk or anything because I was serious. I was just talking. I was telling the story, and everybody bust out laughing. I turned around, and I looked around, and I was like, oh yeah, I guess that does sound kind of crazy because. But anyway, I didn't understand, and I'm like, I really felt like he was on the run. They were on the run from their father or something. I thought it was the Lifetime movie or something like that.
Mhm.
So it says you left the. Are you?
I'm still
Okay.
here. I'm still here.
Oh, I got it. So I found in the beginning that all of everything that we were taught at church was valuable and true, and it had, excuse me, a very deep impact on my life and on the way that I raised the children, because it was like, I tried, like I went to church for a few years and then I dropped off. It was like I went cold turkey on a lot of things, and then I just went back to doing them. And then after a while, it was, we just went back to church and that was it. Like we were going for every meeting and stuff like that. And I thought that it would be a valuable asset to our lives because you figure, how can you go wrong with following the Bible? I mean, come on, it's like all this good stuff in there. Everything in it is good. The Bible is good. The Bible is true. And the reason why we know is because it says so. So, you know, why wouldn't we obey everything? It's like God is God and always will be God, you know? And you should do everything that's said in this book. So, you know, you fast forward a few years, and I started really thinking about things, especially the things dealing with the sisters in church. Okay? Especially the things dealing with, okay, whenever anything comes up in church, it's, yeah, you sisters this, you sisters that, and nothing is being said to the brothers. It's like, oh yeah, brothers, stop doing that. But you sisters, y'all dress wrong, y'all talk wrong, y'all just wrong. That's what it is. Everything about you is wrong. And I just felt like with all of the admonishments that are geared toward the sisters, what are the brothers doing? You know? What are they doing or not doing that they should be or should not be doing? You understand? It became very frustrating. It became very frustrating to read certain things in the Bible and people can't answer my questions. I don't really like that. I feel like if you've been going to church for your entire life and you're 55, 60 years old, you should be able to tell me some certain things. So I know that you and I have had these discussions where, you know, I tell you how I read in Genesis, I don't know what chapter, it's when Adam and Eve were kicked out of the garden. And in that chapter, it talks about how Eve was beguiled by the serpent. The serpent, you know, enticed Eve to eat the fruit off of the tree of knowledge, right?
Right.
So you got the tree of knowledge of good and evil. And the serpent tells Eve, oh, you know, you're not, nothing's going to happen. Go ahead and eat the tree. And she eats off the tree and nothing happens. And but the fruit tasted good. So she goes and she says, her husband, who is Adam, and she says, eat of this fruit. It's good. And Adam says, okay. And Adam eats the fruit. But when Adam ate the fruit, their eyes were open. And that bothered me a lot because I'm like, for all mankind, for all of these centuries, as long as this book has been followed, it's always been that the blame has been on the woman. The blame has been on Eve for sin coming into the world because Eve ate the fruit. Where the Bible, the very Bible that everybody follows, says, yeah, but it wasn't until after Adam ate that their eyes were open. Right. And nobody answers that. Nobody says, oh, well, this is why. You know, nobody knows. And it just bothers me. It bothers me about 1985 to 1990 because you're looking at 29 years ago was 1985, right? So that means 4 years ago was 1990, and that's a long time. But when you mention that, when you say that to people, they say, well, God is the author of time. Right. So, and he's not the author of confusion. So therefore, the time is in his hands. So it doesn't matter whether 1985 was 29 years ago. You know, and I mean, even if they say that the calendar is 15 years off. So even if you add or subtract 15 years, you're still way off. You're still 14 years after the fact. If you add 15 years to 1990, we're still 14 years after that. You understand my point. So there are a lot of things that kind of bother me, and I don't think that too many people can answer them. I think that there was a lot of and we're better than other people because we know the truth, but the exact same circumstances happen there that happen in every other neighborhood, every other church, every other place in the world, even including the Amish. It happens everywhere.
Right.
And it just really bothers me, and I feel like you go through all of that, you sitting down there every single week, every single meeting, and on the Sabbath you're there from morning, break the dawn on there until sundown, which is like now. We go to 8:45, you just getting out of church. 9 o'clock at night, you just getting out of church, and you've learned nothing. You learned nothing. You're sitting there, and there's nothing to be learned, and it kind of really, it has irked me for a really long time. That's where I am now. Is I neither it's like I don't believe or disbelieve. I just don't care, and it's I've learned that it's called apatheism, like apathetic to theism,
Right.
and I'm cool with that. I don't have a problem with it because it's like I don't care one way or the other. Because according to church, everybody goes to hell anyway. So I really can't say that I care that much one way or the other. There's nothing you could do about it. There's nothing you could do about anything. No matter what good you do, it's that one bad thing that you do that will send you to hell.
Right.
I wonder, well, where's Aunt Ruby? Everybody has said Aunt Ruby was like the #1 sister in church. Where is she? You mean to tell me Aunt Ruby's in hell? That bothers me. It bothers me that Aunt Ruby would be in hell. It bothers me that, like, Brother Ike's wife was, I mean, not wife, mother was abused all those years, and then she still has to go to hell. That bothers me. You know, I find it to be very disturbing. So that's where I am, apatheism. So neither atheist nor believer, neither theist or atheist. Apatheist. And I like that term. It fits you perfectly.
Yeah, I've actually never heard of that term, but I mean, you know, I learned something. I mean, it's a great kind of backstory, and a picture of your journey, basically, believing, you know, your experience going there and to dealing with things up until today. Hoping we can get Nastasia. Can you hear me, Nastasia?
Yes.
She has the phone. Yeah, has a phone on me. Great. How about, you know, you give us, if you don't mind, give us a little, you know, a synopsis of your, because you're like another generation. You're actually, hold on, you are a 5th generation. Yeah, because you have your father, grandfather, grandmother, and great-grandmother. So you're the 5th one of this family that have gone through. But it was a long time after the fact that Prophet Cherry was there that you actually were at church. So for
Which
a young
was
person,
weird. Yeah, it was weird that they were still holding on to these words, and then when they would play the recordings, I would never even be able to understand what he was saying. So
right.
I'm like, I know I can hear, so if I can't understand, how the heck do y'all understand? Like, how do y'all know exactly what he's saying through those muffled recordings from the even who knows? Never even knew how old they was. So
Well, those
I used to be like,
yeah.
who knows what he's saying?
Well, there was, I mean, would you say, like, from my experience, there was, you know, you hear a lot of what people say he said. Well, they'll say, and that was a frustrating thing for me, if people saying, like, well, Prophet said this, and then Prophet said that.
But one person would say one thing, and then another person would say, oh, no, he didn't say it like that. He said it like this. And then it's just like you said, it's frustrating because you didn't stay here all day, and you still don't even know. He probably didn't even say none of that.
Right. So tell me, walk me through from your earliest memories and to where you are right now, and tell me like what was your experience like going to school, going to church, um,
I
up
mean,
until where you are right now, and how do you feel about things for the future regarding what you were brought up to believe?
to be honest, I couldn't wait until I got out of high school because I remember when I got my first job. I mean, not to skip all the way over my whole life, but
Mm-hmm.
when I got my first job, I remember going to the store and buying myself a pair of pants because I wanted to wear pants.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't think it mattered. And
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't wait to take pictures. On my graduation day, I could not take not one picture with my friends.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just like, I don't have no pictures throughout high school. I have some that, I was in because we was in and out of church. We wasn't. I remember sometimes we wasn't really in there. So, but I didn't. I mean, not that I didn't like it. I just I wanted to take pictures. I wanted to go to the parties on Saturdays. I wanted to do stuff. I didn't want to not. I didn't want to go to church all day Saturday because my friends is out here. So
Mm-hmm.
what the heck do I want to sit in church with a dress on and stockings and I can't even cross my legs.
Mm-hmm.
I can't go to sleep. I can't chew candy. I can't go downstairs. I can't talk to nobody. I can't talk about anything. I gotta eat this. Which the only thing that I still am sticking to is the eating because I just I'm stuck in the not having pork and seafood, so I just stay that way. But everybody else is eating shrimp. I want to eat shrimp. No, I
Mm-hmm.
don't. But as a teenager, it's like, oh, I want to take pictures. I want to eat shrimp. I don't
Mm-hmm.
want to be here on Saturday. I remember we used to sit in my mom's car. She had that green van,
Mm-hmm.
and we would see the park across the street. I guess that's King Park across the
Right.
street from church.
Right.
And
Kingston. Yeah.
they
Mm-hmm.
would have carnivals and block parties, and I would be watching like, well, why am I sitting here with this hot dress on? I don't even like this dress, and they get to be over there. And I used to leave church and just be like, my whole day is wasted. I don't even know what they was talking about half the day. I was asleep or I was trying to figure out a way to go downstairs and eat snacks or stuff like that. Like when I got to be in like high school, like 12th grade, I started going on my own term
Mm-hmm.
to see, like I would go, like they know I would catch the bus and I would go on Wednesdays and I would go on Sunday night and I would go on Sunday morning. And then it's just like after a while, I didn't get anything out of it. I would ask questions. They would praise me because I would be the only one in our age group asking questions. None of our other, nobody else was asking questions but me. Nobody else was at the meeting night but me. And they
Mm-hmm.
would be like, "Oh, you coming up good. You doing good." But am I really doing good?
Mm-hmm.
Just because you see me sitting here, my mind could have been wandering. You don't know why I'm sitting here. You just know that I'm sitting here. And it's like, you praising me because I'm just sitting here. Like, I don't know. And then after a while, I just stopped. And I never went back. And now with my kids, like, that's not how I want to raise them. I don't want them to be raised to think that women are beneath them because women are not beneath them because then that would mean that I'm beneath them and I'm not. So
Right.
no woman is beneath you. You're the man of the house, but you're not like, I don't know how to say it without, you're the man of the house, but you're not
The king.
like, I don't want them to be raised to think that women have to worship the ground they walk on. And, I want them to be raised to view women as equal. And I feel like down there, we wasn't equal. I wasn't equal to, I wasn't equal to none of them.
Mm-hmm.
Everything, like my mom said, everything was girls' fault. Everything was my fault,
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't like that. And even now, like, I look at, what's going on down there, and it's like, well, why the heck would you want your kids to be raised like that? Like, especially in this day and age, like, no, I want them to be able to experience life, just like you said. I want them to travel. I want them to go to school. I want them to experience life because, for one, all that living, stay close to church,
Mm-hmm.
absolutely not. There is no way on this earth that I would live anywhere in 19121. It just ain't happening.
Mm-hmm.
Not with two sons.
Right.
Because while you trying to live right, your next door neighbor not, so anything can happen. Absolutely not. And that's one thing I don't agree with. Not living down there. And And I think everybody's so brainwashed, they're not even paying attention to the fact that your neighborhood is crap. Your schools are crap. But because y'all so into this church, y'all just blind to that. And I just feel like, why is nobody opening their eyes to see that, you could follow the stuff without being, that deep into it, where it's to you putting yourself in jeopardy. That's what I feel like.
Right.
Raising your sons down there is a horrible, I don't care how deep in church you are, that's a horrible decision for any mother. And that's one I'm not making.
Right.
And, I don't know. Even the church people really ain't all that great. Because the older men, like, I'm sorry, but your age men they should be talking to my age guys, even the younger guys, like steering them in the right direction. Whereas they're passing along the same crap that they was doing, which wasn't right. It's like a never-ending cycle, and I'm sorry, my kids is not in that circle. They're not joining it because it's just a cycle. Like, nobody sees it. Like, but I guess when you're in the cycle, you don't see that you're in it because you're in it. So it's like this is life. And I feel like with a lot of people, they go because it's tradition. Where I could have easily went because it was tradition, because my mom used to drive her little blue car every Saturday. We would go. It was tradition. So I could have very easily stuck with that, like, oh, I've been going since age whatever, so it's tradition, so I'm going to raise my kids this way. No, but, I opened my eyes like, wait a minute, hold up, no.
But you also have the other side to it is, it's tradition, and a lot of people in your age group are still going, but they still know nothing. They don't know anything about that tradition. They don't know anything as to why they still go. How do you go and don't know your Bible? How do you go and you can't articulate your belief?
Like, what's the point? You might as well have went out.
You might as well have gone out.
Like, if you're going to go all day and spend your day, please come out with something. If not, you might as well have went, enjoyed your Saturday, because I know you're not enjoying it because I've been there. And it's not fun on Saturdays when it's hot, when it's cold, when there's something going on. It's not fun. So I come out with something.
I feel like if you're going to go and you're going to sit there all day and then still take pictures of your feet, hands, and boobs, I feel like you might as well just go out. That's just how I look at it. If you're not going to go there and, like, promote me in it and speak in it, then don't hedge your bets. Just jump off on the other side of the fence and keep it moving.
Yeah. I would say, okay, well, let me ask you this while we're talking about that. How would you say, Nastasia, like the people in your age group, what would be your thoughts on, the people that have left and the people that are gone? What are your thoughts on them, of your peers that you were brought up with? I know some are still going there. But are you okay? I guess we kind of covered that they're not. You would say that, kind of like it's just based on tradition. But I mean, how do they handle things? Like, my main thing was like, okay, 1985, 1990. I was right there at the time period. I graduated high school in 1980, so my experience was, okay, I'm looking forward to 1985, 1990. But here, I mean, somebody's telling you as you're growing up, okay, that time has already passed. So, I mean, how do you feel about when you hear 1985, 1990, and about
87? I mean, 89.
She's born 89.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, when you hear that, how do you react to that, and how do you think, like, your peers react to that, hearing that?
I'm sorry. I think at this point it's like, come on, you're not still holding on to that. I mean, clearly 1989 has came and gone. 2000 has came and gone. We know we're embarking on 2015, so it's like I used to believe it though, like, oh my goodness, like in my mind I would think, like, should I really, like, why are we worried about school, because they telling us next year or whatever year they were saying back when they were saying it, or we won't be here. And then, they used to make us visualize the fruit and the honey, I think it was, or tea.
Milk and honey.
Milk and honey, yeah.
Right.
They used to have us visualizing that, and it's just like, oh, this is great. Like, why am I worried about school? Because we ain't gonna be here. So what does school matter?
Mm-hmm.
But as time goes on, it's like, wait a minute, y'all got me flunking in school, and we still here.
Right.
Time is going on. So I think they need to stop drilling that in these kids, because these poor kids are the ones that's going, every week, and because it's tradition, they gonna believe that, and they probably thinking the way I was thinking, like, oh, well, I ain't got worried about school because in 2 years we won't be here, so we don't need. Right. Meanwhile, you done flunked out and you still here.
Right.
And I just never understood how they would say that. Oh, in 5 years we won't be here, but then on the other side of the token, be like, but no man knows. Well, you just said it, so I don't know. That's it.
Yeah, I would say my experience has been coming from that time frame. There was a rush to get everything done because we're leaving, but it made me make decisions like I wasn't worried about credit or something like. Because my mother actually told me, yeah, well, you're not gonna have to pay that back anyway. So I was irresponsible with things like credit and things like actually thinking about the future, which that has an effect. If you think that you're not going to be someplace for a time, your attitude changes about it. Like you said, you think that, hey, we're going to be out of here, so what's the point in doing anything here, And as I got older and it dawned, it's like it was becoming clear, like, okay, well, it ain't happening. It started out, okay, well, if it happens, fine, I'll be ready to go. But if it doesn't happen, I'm going to be prepared either way. So my attitude shifted as time went on. But it made me make decisions based on, okay, like, am I going to be responsible with long-term things? Like, do I get life insurance? Okay, because we're encouraged not to get life insurance.
You can't get life insurance. Where you been? Oh, well, you wasn't supposed to be getting life insurance anyway.
Yeah, but hey, people are dying around you, and you have to be prepared for that eventuality. You don't fixate on it.
No wills either, and you knew that.
Right, now that's another thing. So there's no wills, because you're told that you were preparing for death, but everybody eventually dies. So so that was the impact as far as I'm concerned about making decisions about the future. It was always like, I was irresponsible. Actually, I believe I was taught to be irresponsible. Now, as an adult, I have to take responsibility after that to say, okay, well, you got to navigate your way through life. So you can't, and I can't blame my mother or my father for my actions, and I'm in my 30s. I have to take responsible for that, my 20s and 30s. But that was the foundation. That's what I was brought up to believe. So, that had to change as the reality came more towards me. So, like, in what area would you say, Michelle, that the end time specifically, the end time? How did you deal with the time going by? Like, how did you deal with the time frame not happening as you were taught that it would happen?
I actually forgot about it a lot of times, even though sometimes they still talked about it. It was like, how can I put it? It's like living in another world, or not living. It's like a dreamland kind of thing where you're not really paying attention to that part. Like that part, it's like when you read history, right? So you know that in history, that historically black people were enslaved. But you can't envision that enslavement for the most part because you didn't experience it. So right. You don't have this like tactile experience to slavery, right? Enslavement. but you read about it and you can kind of see where things happened, and they have all these movies that they've made that kind of give you very graphic images of what could have been happening during enslavement because of all the accounts that you got from, say, when the Freedmen's Bureau was open and they were taking all the accounts from the enslaved and things like that. And that's sort of how I viewed the entirety of the past for a church. It was like, okay, so here's this man, and it never dawned on me like, but he died in '63. Like, why would this have been like, why would I be paying attention to it when he died in '63? I should have realized something then that he was saying, oh, in our lifetime kind of thing, but he died in '63. So anyway, but that's how I looked at it. It was just like, it was this thing that didn't have anything to do with me.
Mm-hmm.
Until I started really thinking about some of the things that, like, Eber said, and even Julian said, and how people were talking about, just like you said, not caring about credit, mm-hmm. and not going to school, and going to the school closest to you, and not taking and nursing your job, being at the same job for, like, I don't know, years, and doing the same job for 30 years. Like, not even just that you are at the same job, but you're doing the same job for 30 years. You don't move up, you don't move down. It's like you just keep, sit steady in the boat is really what you're doing.
Right.
And so I just never really paid it any mind until I started thinking about those things, until I started saying, wait one dang last minute. We're 29 years, well, at the time I started thinking about it, we were something like 19 years after the fact. Mm-hmm. It was like I started thinking about it about 10 years ago or so. It was something like that. It was just like, wait a minute. I don't understand. Why is 1985, 1990 still something that they even mention? But then after a while, they stopped even mentioning it. Mm-hmm. So I said, oh, okay, so, and then after a couple of years ago, I started thinking, oh, they pulled a Harold Campus on us, where it's like, you don't even mention it anymore. It's like, we won't talk about that because there's no way to explain it. Mm-hmm. So the fallback reason is because God holds time in his hands, and so therefore it's not up to man to know, which is the whole point in Revelations anyway. It was like in Revelations it says no man is going to know, or maybe not Revelations, I forget which one, but it says no man knows the hour. Mm-hmm. Jesus even said he doesn't know the hour. It's like when God sends them back, God's going to send them back, and that's just about it. So if Jesus doesn't know, how on earth is it predicted that all of this stuff is going to happen by somebody else?
Right.
When God's Son didn't even know.
Right.
If you're a believer in it, God's Son didn't even know. So why would you think that anybody else could know? It has bothered me for a long time. And then in the last few years that I was going to church, I stopped saying things like giving honor to God, his Son, and the Holy Prophet. I stopped saying that. Mm-hmm. I would say give honor to God and his Son, but I found it started to really mess with me about giving honor to a man. Giving honor to prophet, it doesn't say anything about that in there. Mm-hmm. It really started to mess with me. It was like, wait a minute. I started to feel some kind of way about them revering prophet the way they did and elevating him in the way that they do, when I don't have a problem with you honoring his memory and stuff like that. I mean, of course you're going to do that. You would do that for, when Aunt Ruby's birthday come around, you start thinking about, July 18th comes around, it's like, oh yeah, and Aunt Ruby used to say this and say that and do this and do that and yada and or so forth. So I get that, but we're not singing songs to Aunt Ruby. People aren't making songs that are dealing solely with Aunt Ruby. And then like around Prophet's birthday, everybody like during the during the time of that, and then when they do his birthday celebration, you know, everybody busts out with the songs for Prophet, and it was like I didn't think that that was something that should be done. Where and I, you know, I just don't think that's something that should be done. I don't think that if you follow that book like that, it should be where you elevate man like that.
Mm.
And so many people have done it. So many, not just with Prophet, but with so many other of these different churches. People have elevated their leaders to this status, and they can't let go of it. You know, they can't let go of it. So you got Father Divine, you know, and what's the other one's name?
Sweet Daddy Grace.
Grace, yeah.
Sweet
But
Daddy.
I have so many friends who go to churches, and it is okay. It used to be they were a pastor. Now they're like some type of high priest, and then they're a bishop, and the next thing you know, they're a prophet. And it's just like, well, who votes on this? Like, how does this happen? You know, where is it written? I don't get it. And just like I don't get it about Prophet, nowhere on any of the tapes, anything that I've heard, the few that I've heard, did he delineate himself as a prophet. He didn't say he was a prophet, but I guess the fact that you allow everyone else to call you a prophet is what makes it, I don't know, it makes me feel uneasy about that. It's like even when I was like totally stoked and steeped into believing, it made me feel uneasy about going about the religion that way, if that makes sense.
Now, I have to say that, you know, I mean, it's a perfect segue into how, you know, dealing specifically with Prophet Cherry. As I said, I remember opening the Bible, actually looking for his book when I was 11, 12, 13 years old, looking to see if, you know, what he wrote, because, you know, you understand, I mean, I was born in 1962, he died in 63. So everything that I'm here is second, third, fourth, fifth hand, and being raised by my mother and father, you know, it was, you know, specifically my mother, it was like prophet said this, prophet said that, about, you know, heavily influenced by his outlook on life and whatever his particular theology was. But I came to question things that I would say that was the seed of my doubts, and the fact that it seemed that they were always playing around on Saturday. It's just like a game with the lesson. It's like, you know, I know something you don't know. Sit steady in the boat, keep coming around. Brother X got this verse and chapter, and Brother Y got this X verse and chapter, and in the end, it's like you don't get anything resolved. It's like, I don't know what was the truth. So they just went back and forth, and then, you know, we go to lunch, you know, which I was looking forward to going to lunch, honestly, you know. So just like I think probably a lot of people, you know, I actually enjoy going down there because, you know, my friends and relatives are there, really. And, you know, we were waiting after church to go get something to drink, you know, after we got in my teens. So, but my questions came about who Prophet Cherry was when I got into my young adult life, when I started studying with a brother named Ariel, who he wasn't brought up in church, but he knew about Prophet Cherry. And there were other Hebrew Israelites in the city, other congregations and things like that, and I was introduced to him, and I started looking at it a different way. I started understanding what the Hebrew was that was written in church, what the Yiddish was that was in the church, and that didn't make sense to me. And you know, the Yiddish part didn't make sense because Yiddish is just you know, Germanic influenced Hebrew, which has nothing to do with being black and Hebrew Israelite. So that's something that's totally not related to black folks. But my question, as I got older, like I said, I don't have the mystique and mysterious and fear-based thing where you can't ask questions about a man. And as I got older, I got bolder about it because it's like, well, you know, this is all about what Prophet said, and it's like I don't even know this man. I don't know who he is. All I did, like Nastasia said, all I hear these muffled tapes on Saturday. We just sitting there, and it's like, what the hell? I can't understand nothing. It just sounds like uh, somebody talking with a microphone just pressed as close to their mouth. It's just like, and it's just, you don't understand it. And it's like, you look around, it's like, am I the only one that don't understand this?
I'm sorry, that's exactly how it sounded. Like I had to
understand.
Not even, because I used to sit up there with Mom, I used to sit on the other side, the amen corner, and even then I couldn't understand. I used to sit up there like around where my aunt like a few rows behind my aunt, my Aunt Dinah, and even then I couldn't understand. So it's like, and then they would put it up to the mic, which makes it even worse. I've never once can remember understanding. And then I would ask around, and they would be like, "Oh, he said to sit down. Oh no, he didn't. He said to stand up. Oh no, he didn't. He said to sit over there." Well, it's like, what did he say? So
I think that was deliberate.
What was deliberate?
The muffled and the putting it up to the mic so that you can't really totally understand what was being said. I think that's a deliberate act.
What do you think? Okay, part of the things I think is my thinking now is when you look at other groups and how they do things, it's the same dynamic, which I call basically is brainwashing. What you do with people is that you keep people coming to meetings. And when I was in college, I went to sell books down south, door to door, and we had sales school for a week. And we stayed in meetings, and it was like this highly pressurized type of situation. We stayed at a hotel, but from waking to sleep, we were in these meetings about selling books. You do this, you role play, you do this, you do this, you do this. And the whole thing was to keep us from getting negative about selling books, because that's a very hard job. You have to do X amount of demonstrations a day, and 99.99% of the people, or 99.9% of the people, are going to tell you no. So you have to keep going through that. So basically, they had to brainwash you in a week to keep on going. And I found that the similar thing is in a lot of other churches and groups, where if you keep people in meetings and if you keep them running back and forth, they don't get a chance to think for themselves. So making the correlation or the contrast comparison with when I went to sales school is that you don't want them, thinking about, hey, you know what, I'm selling books door to door, but really if I got a job and save my money, I would probably make more money and have fun for my summer. But that didn't work well with that company. Whereas the same thing in a church situation. If you start thinking for yourself, you start thinking, well, why am I sitting up here all day? Why can't I just go? I want to enjoy my day. I want to do some fun stuff. You know what I mean? I don't have to feel bad about going fun. Yeah, okay, I'll come to church, but why can't it be like for the afternoon? Afternoon service, and then. But when you start thinking too much on your own, then you'll start having these questions like, well, why are we doing this and why are we doing that? Why do we clap when it thunders? You know what I mean? And stuff like that. You don't get a chance to think about that stuff. And then if you are, you got your people right there to correct you about, no, don't think about that. You don't, you got the group pressure to keep your mind right. You know what I mean? Even though, you learn, that your mind can go anywhere. You're not judged by your thoughts. You're not in thought prison because you think of something that's so-called sinful that, that something's wrong with that. You just think because your mind is free to do whatever it wants to do. You're not judged on it, on those thoughts, when you free yourself from that theology.
I don't know. I saw a movie like that with Tom Cruise.
Right, thought crime, yeah.
Yeah, thought crimes.
Yeah, well, that's part of religion, a lot of religions, well, basically Christianity, where you, and Islam, I guess, where you are supposedly convicted for your thoughts, which, I'm totally against that. But, Nastasia, how do you feel about, okay, um, like, what's your feeling about, okay, let me put it to you this way. I thought Prophet Cherry was like sort of like a god, like sort of like a man like no other. My mother used to tell me that, okay, yeah, he went through all these stories. Well, he was uh, in the ground, and God reached down and formed, like basically created him and blew the breath of life in him, and um, he was dead. He was dead. He was brought back to life. He had surgery. They opened him up, and he was like no other man. They looked inside him, and it's like, he was not like no other man. Um, what else? All these fantastic stories that like made me think that, first of all, they scared the hell out of me because, anytime, then that made me not ask any questions about him, because it was like just the thought of asking any question or thinking that he's wrong or questioning his authority was just out of it, because I just thought he had a direct connection to God, and that he was in my head. I remember hearing stories like, oh yeah, he could look at the back of your head and tell that you're lying, and all kind of stuff to scare the hell out of you, make you feel like you're being watched. But that was my experience. So I was like scared. I was afraid to even question anything about him growing up. But how did you feel coming, well, that's 89. That's 20, that's 20 plus years, after me being born, so I'm born back in the 60s. That's 80, almost 1990 something, 30 something years. So how do you feel about, who he was, and what is your reaction to, or your, for lack of a better word, relationship with him? How did you experience growing up and being taught about who Prophet Cherry was?
Just like what you said, like you was fearful to ask too deep of a question. You didn't want to question, and you didn't want to question why did he say this? Because, I mean, God forbid you ask why. It's like, because this is what the prophet said. This is how we're supposed to do it. And it's like, but why are we supposed to do that? Why did he say not to do that? Like, why is nobody else asking why? Like, I mean, it's okay to ask why, because he should have gave a clear, like it should be clear. Right. And so me asking why is like, you was fearful, like, I'm just not going to ask why. I'm just going to either do it or I'm not going to do it. And that's not a way you should want to live. Like, you should have a reason, an understanding of why you're doing something. But you wasn't allowed to get that. Or if you was, you still walked away with, okay, I don't know what the heck they just said, but I guess this is why. So, I don't know. Just like you said, you was fearful. That's basically what I think.
But how do you feel today about that? Because, I mean, it's obvious that you don't, I mean, you've made decisions on your own. You've come to conclusions that, you don't govern your life that way under his teachings. As a young person, you told me about the things that you hold on to, but it sounds like you hold on to them because you made the decision to hold on to them, not because you're doing them out of fear. But what got you to that point where you start saying, well, and I'm talking about specifically with Prophet Cherry and what he said, it's not even Prophet Cherry, it's really what people said he said, So from the information that you got from the hearsay, what made you, what is your, what made you just say, okay, well, I'm just going to live my life the way that I'm going to live it. I'm not going to be afraid to even have this conversation, because, actually, if we went to church, we're not supposed to have this conversation at all. Definitely not in this forum. Even though people have all these questions, it's a fact that they have these questions, and it's a fact that they have dealt with the decisions they made, and they have left and come back and left for good, and so what let me get me to your feeling about yeah. It's okay. I see.
I'm sorry. I heard.
It's all right.
I heard your question, then I got kicked out somehow.
Okay.
What I think about it now is that I think that's what your question was. Now I
Right.
think, just like I said, well, if I don't understand why I'm doing something, then I'm not going to do it because I don't even know why I'm doing it. So why am I going to do it? So that's what I think. That's why now, it's just like, I don't know. It say don't take pictures, but it's like, I don't know. I don't know how to explain it. I'm sorry.
Mm. Well, I mean, okay, now the reason behind you taking pictures is to give the verse that I used to give when I was going to defend what I believe was not making any graven image or any likeness of anything that's in heaven above, earth beneath, or water under the earth, all of that stuff. Genesis, excuse me, the verse in Genesis. Now, that never made sense to me. The way I always interpret it was like you don't make idols and bow down to idols as gods. So, because God is jealous, you don't make an idol of anything and worship that thing as God. So, one of the first things I wanted to do and always wanted to do was take pictures. So, that was one of the first things I did. So, um, what made you then, okay, let me just ask specifically, like, so hey, most of us want to take pictures, for our class trip because, we want those memories. We want to see when our children were young and, remember this. That's all we're doing is looking to remember when we took, oh, that was fun. And, so what made you now, like, so you're not fearful of taking pictures now? Why? Why is it not now you're not fearful of taking?
I don't know. I think because it's like, not to say it, but like everybody's doing it, so like it can't be that bad. We're the only ones. Even the Muslims take pictures. The Jehovah's Witnesses take pictures. The Seventh Day Adventists. No, I don't know anybody that's Seventh Day Adventist, but I know Muslims. I know Jehovah's Witnesses. I know obviously Christian, Baptists, all of that. All of them take pictures, and it's all supposed to be the same guy, so it can't be that bad, right?
Right. Well, the way yeah. Well, what do you think about that, Michelle? Like it says you weren't. I mean, originally, growing up, you took pictures. Into your teens and early 20s, you went to church, and you stopped taking pictures. And now you take pictures. But why now do you take just specifically that something like that? You take pictures now. What makes you take them now and not take them from before?
Because I'm an apatheist. Didn't you hear me say that? I like that word, apatheist.
Okay.
I don't care. It's like I don't believe, and I do. It's one of those things where I just don't care. It's not going to have any bearing on anything.
Mm-hmm.
You figure through all that. You're not taking pictures. You're not doing a whole lot of things. One young sister said to me one time, like, she just can't see that she has to go to hell because she decides to wear a skirt that's split down the middle and sewn, which is what pants are. It's like, that's a skirt, they cut it, they split it down the middle and they sew the legs together.
Mm-hmm.
So she felt like, I'm not going to hell for that. That doesn't make sense. And I'm sure she probably takes pictures. I'm not friends with her on Facebook or anything, but I'm pretty sure she does. So, pictures, I think it was, well, first of all, somebody ruined my whole church experience anyway, and I'm not going to mention who that person was, but they ruined it for me by pointing out a whole bunch of different things that that didn't really make sense and were what's the word I'm looking for? Were inconsistencies, with the Bible, and how even I'm a FM studies major, and I studied about how there were a ton of stories that were like the Noah story, all the flood stories, about stories like about Moses, throwing down the staff and it turned it into a serpent, and then he picks it up and it's a staff again. There are other stories that are just like those. So, like I said, somebody ruined all of that for me, and it was like I couldn't hold on to that anymore. It didn't make sense to hold on to it anymore when the entirety of the book to me makes no sense anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Sure, there's some valuable, to me, there's a lot of value in some of the stories, you know, just like you tell stories to little children to get them to understand certain things. So, you know, you may have a book like I used to read to Sim the Berenstain Bears a lot, and in those books, the Berenstain Bears are written by Christian people who have these Christian values and everything, but in those books it teaches the children, you know, it talks to the children about being helpful to others, not lying, you know, doing your chores, like all these different things that you tell them anyway, but then when they hear it in a book, it's just different. And
Right.
so that's how I feel about the Bible. You know, there are a lot of stories in the Bible and the Apocrypha that I would read that to me had value to them, because it's, you know, it's these stories about courage, you know. There's stories about how to treat other people and just all, you know, just different things. But that is the reason why I don't worry about the picture thing anymore, and I don't worry about, like, honestly, if it weren't for the fact that pork and seafood are so disgusting anyway, I would probably eat it now, because I wouldn't worry about those things. But I mean, I'm not going to eat the scavengers anyway, and I'm not going to eat pork anyway, just for the fact of what it is, not for religious things. You understand? So,
Right.
you know, I mean, I'm with Nastasia on that. It's like, I'm not eating that disgusting stuff anyway. But if I so happen to choose to eat it at this point, I don't feel like, you know, the entirety of my existence is going to go to hell because I ate food, or
Right.
what food anyway. So that's why I don't worry about apatheism. Let's look that up and pin that to this discussion if we can.
Yeah, that's a new term. Like I said, I mean, it may not even be new, but
I don't
I
think
just
it's
haven't heard of it.
There's a whole Wikipedia page written on it, and I gotta look it up on like dictionary.com or something like that. But there's a whole thing based on it. I mean, not based on it. There's a whole
Okay.
definition and, you know, stuff written about it. So, but that's how I feel now. It's like I don't care. It's like I'm nonchalant. You know. You know how it's like you have love, you have hate, and then you have indifference. You know, and I'm indifferent. It just does not matter to me.
Yeah. That's interesting. Go
I
ahead. I'm
wish
sorry.
I wish I had come to this conclusion, say, about 15 years ago. I'm sure Nastasia wishes I did too. But I wish I had come to.
No comment. No comment.
But I know that, you know, I wish that I had stayed where I was. It was about, I would say, about 15 years ago when I had decided that we were going to church, and that was just it. And I wish I had stayed to where I was before that, because I don't believe that religion has any value at all. I don't believe that it's a good thing. That's just my opinion, and I don't think that there's anything to gain by having any type of religious affiliation. Just like I don't think to me it's like religion and politics. Like I just don't think there's anything to gain from either one, honestly. You know, so I don't think that, you know, being Catholic, being any other type of Christian, Muslim, you know, Buddhist, you know, Hebrew Israelite, I don't know, Jewish. I mean, you could run the gamut on these religions, and I don't think that any of them have any real value. Like I don't think that, like Harry down at you know, Harry Christians, I don't understand the point in certain things. I don't understand the point in being celibate. You know, I mean, I just don't get it. I don't get certain things, and I just don't see any value in that. I don't see how it it makes the world any better. Religion, or so they say, is the reason for Israel bombing Palestine right now. You know, they're trying to wipe them out, and that's religion. That's the Jewish people. Yay, you know. So that's just my take on it.
Mm. Yeah, I mean, you know, I think after a while, what happens is in a lot of religious movements, and the religion that we were all brought up in is no different from any of the other ones. But after a while, um, it's the foundation of the religions are similar, whereas they have to have an end time type of prophecy, and each religion has like a life cycle. It has to have like an ending, this catastrophic ending, a threat of eternal damnation if you don't follow what the leadership says. But what happens is at the end of that life cycle of that religion, when things don't happen the way that they say they're going to happen, people lose what's called, you lose the faith. You know, you lose your belief in that religion. And you know, you have this fallout where you question the foundation of the religion, and most times people react to that as though somebody told you that, you know, you tell children that Santa Claus exists, but children grow up and find out, hey, Santa Claus doesn't exist, and then they're pissed at you for lying at you. You know, you told me Santa did this when he didn't do. You know, it wasn't Santa Claus; it was mommy and daddy doing all of this stuff. So, you know, it's like it's at the end of it. For me, it serves no purpose believing in it. Yeah, it serves no purpose in as far as having anything of value for me. And my belief now is non-belief, and I'm outspoken about it. I don't mind talking about it, even though I don't confront people with it. But you know, when somebody claims they're going to pray for me, yeah, I think I'm back. Can you hear me, Nastasia?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. So sometimes the internet pops off and pops back on, but yeah. So it doesn't have that.
I can hear you.
Yeah, it doesn't hold that sway on me anymore. And because I've not believed probably longer than I believed, I'm at a point where it's like, okay, I understand, and it's interesting to me to search and find out and get behind how these religions come to the historical part of the religion. And if you look at them all, they're all the same. You know, it's all the same. It's all about what we have experienced. But you know, it's great to get to a point where you talk about these things and you put it out there. And I've learned I've had my blog where actually I started over a year and a half ago. Start writing about things, and I mean, I get people from all over the world, and I'm sure some people from 2132 going there and reading about the information that I found. And information is so much available now that, you know, any mystery, any question you had about Prophet Cherry, and nobody didn't want to, you know, if they didn't want to answer, you can just go to ancestry.com and get all the information that you need. I mean, I've already done that on my blog, which I always post it, but I'll post it again for this video. But any information that you want to know about them, the information is there. And what they tell you the information was that we have brought up to believe is not the information is there. You know? But what I'm going to do is I kind of want to keep the conversations where we have them, and in subsequent videos and hangouts, I'm going to talk about those things, the things that I've written about. But I think this is a great first conversation that we had, and you know, it was a nice free flowing conversation, and you know, hopefully it inspires some other people when we have them again to come on and talk about their experience. And even if they write about it, have a discussion about it, that's fine. We can talk about it on Facebook. We can talk about it anywhere, really. But the thing is that we got to talk about this stuff. We got to stop. We have to stop falling into what we were brought up to believe, that everything is a mystery. But before I go ahead and kind of wind things up, because we have lives that we have to live and things that we have to do other than these conversations, I'm gonna give Michelle, which I think my wife went downstairs, but but Nastasia, anything that you want to close with, any kind of thoughts that you want to close with, and how's this conversation been for you? Has it been help? What is your reaction to the conversation, and or any closing remarks that you want to make?
I think it was good. I think that other people, if people that are active, members, I think that they would take offense to it instead of listening to it.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I think. I mean, that's it. Like, I think that, because they're so into it, so they would be like, why are they saying this? Why are they saying that?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I just wait for the next one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, like I said, I think that the key thing is to talk, because everything else is like, just be quiet, and shit, it's 30 some years after the fact, and 30 years after the fact, I mean longer than that for me, but if people just tell you, just be quiet, just listen, just sit steady in the boat, just keep coming, keep this, that, and other thing, no, that ain't gonna get it. That's not gonna get it. Saying honor the prophet, and honor, and being scared of having a conversation about him, and listening to somebody tell you what they remember. That's not gonna get it. Man, they ain't gonna get it. This is the information age, and this is the age where you talk to people, and you get people's point of view. Everybody's point of view is valid. They have something to say. They have a reaction to it. So, I mean, it may take offense, but then it may answer some of the questions that they had anyway. And it's just going to come off to me as the truth. You know what I mean? If you want to take it as an attack, then that's the thought in your head. That shows your lack of confidence in your belief if you take it as an attack. For me, it's like my reaction would be to counter anything that was said, if necessary, if you felt a need to counter it. But bring some information to contradict what was said, or whatever. If your experience was totally different, then that's just your experience. It's not, okay, it worked out for you, you like it, yeah, fine, good for you. So life goes on. So let me see if Michelle is back. Baby, you back?
No, not yet. Destiny's.
Well, we're just gonna close it out now. So if you just want to make close, some closing statements or whatever, see if she can just kind of wind it up, close it down, and then we'll schedule another one. Hopefully we get some other participation, and if not, I'm going to go ahead and continue on with taking my blog and going through some points of the things that I have dealt with, things that specifically we were told that are just flat out not true. So go ahead, babe, if you want to go ahead and just make some closing remarks, and then we can go ahead and end it.
I mean, what did you want me to give a benediction? I don't understand.
Well, closing thoughts. How is this good? Let's start with closing. Go ahead. We hear you, Nastasia. Go ahead. Give us some closing thoughts, and then.
Listen, my closing thoughts are that I don't really mind if people want to believe, if you choose to believe, if you like to continue to believe and do whatever. What I mind is you imposing those beliefs on me. What I mind is you making me feel like, or you're trying to make me feel like I'm less than because I am not part of your system. You know, like, oh, I'm going to pray for you, Shelton, because you know you had all of these things which you spoke of as being the truth, and I don't like it, so now I'm going to pray for you. I find it to be arrogant. I find it to be, you know, disingenuous, first of all, and I don't think that it's necessary. You know, I don't think that it's a necessary thing. I don't think religion is a necessary thing to get along in this world. I really don't. And I think that we would do so much better without it. I mean, the people in the rainforest walk around naked and have no crime. They don't rape each other. You know, they don't abuse each other. They don't do these things to each other because they live together in peace and harmony. And, you know, it's not until they're introduced into what is considered to be a first world society that you run across any of these things. So I feel like if they can live in peace and harmony without religion, without a Bible, without even clothes, I feel like we should all be able to do that without religion and without the Bible. And with that, well, with clothes maybe, because, I mean, I just don't see all that. But, you know, you get my point.
Yeah.
What about you, Nastasia? Do you have anything to say, closing?
She kind of closed out while you was while you were downstairs.
I was downstairs with your sister.
Okay. Well, this was good. You know, wait for the next one. I'll be in on it.
Great, well. Yeah. So on that note, I'm gonna go ahead and close out the hangout, and want to ask to stay tuned for the next. What I want to do is go ahead and add to this series of conversations the information based on my blog, which is my blog is called Question Everything, question mark everything. It's at www.farpoint.com. And I'll add that into the comment section of this video. And with all that said, you know, look around your seats to make sure you didn't leave anything. And watch your fires. Above all, watch your fires. You gotta watch the fires. And
for real,
we have a song, and we're going home.
For real. Can I sing?
Go ahead.
Can I sing? Can I sing? No, I'm not gonna sing. Y'all tripping now. I was with it up until I knew you was gonna say that. It's like I knew you was gonna say watch your fires. It wouldn't be you if you didn't say watch your kids, watch your fires.
Watch the kids, watch the kids running around.
No running around in the parking lot.
Running around,
even though they got all this built up energy. Been sitting here for 37 hours and no running around in the parking lot. Take them home and run them around.
Yeah. So. All right. So until next time, I want to thank everybody. If we have some viewers, thank the people that are going to, view this, and I'm going to post it on Facebook. And that's it. We're done, and we'll see everybody next. Well, we'll see Michelle shortly in 30 seconds, and see Nastasia this week.
See you Sunday.
Okay.
All right. Peace be.
Peace be. All right.